That's you.
That's me. She has 7 kids too. I never put it together.
But it's not permanent. So
you're both entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Is that hard?
I mean, it's definitely hard. Like when you're working for someone and you're a W-2 employee, you get, paycheck every 2 weeks. And when you're self-employed, it's like.
All right, friends, thank you for joining in today. I have my girlfriend, Jessica, with me, who's a business owner, mother, and friend of mine, so she's cool, right? So thanks, Jess, for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. You have such a unique story that I wanted to share with the world about all the things you've accomplished and who you are and what you're bringing forth in your future endeavors. So yay! Yay. All right, so the fun thing about your story is it was not like this easy, picture perfect life from the beginning. So bring us back to like young Jessica.
Young Jessica, where do I start? How much time do we have?
Yes.
So my just short story, childhood, it was okay. I raised my sister pretty much kind of a mom at an early start. Got married young. I grew up in Florida, my dad had full custody of us. I always wanted something different. I always knew something was out there and I wasn't getting it in Florida. So when I met my ex-husband, we met at a grocery store and when I was in high school and things just happened. I just was excited to move out of Florida and start my life. And he graduated aviation school. He was an aviation mechanic and we moved to Washington State. And things were good because it was all new and exciting, but then kind of quickly realized it was not so good. We stayed married for 13 years. It was an abusive relationship in a sense, just physically and mentally, not physically, just mentally and emotionally abusive. Always put down, never thought that I would be anyone. And he provided a lifestyle where I was able to stay home and raise my kids. So I think I put up with a lot of stuff just for that.
And I feel when we're in relationships, that can be boiling frogs.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right? Like
totally.
you just, things that originally it would be shocking, but if it comes gradual, then all of a sudden it's normalized.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Like, okay, this is what's going to happen, but this is what I get. So this is a trade-off.
Yeah.
I don't want to rock the apple cart.
And then it's like, well, is the grass greener on the other side? What am I going to get? Like, I might as well just stay put, stay comfortable, take care of my kids.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did for like 13 years.
Wow. And what was the final straw? Like, what made you decide?
Honestly, it was kind of weird, but okay, so I love shoes. I'm obsessed with shoes. And I had this dream that he bought a girl a pair of shoes, and I told him about it, and he was deployed at the time, and I was like, oh, I had this weird dream that you bought this girl a pair of shoes. And he was like, well, I doubt it was a dream. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I did buy a girl a pair of shoes. And I was like, what? And this was he was always doing stuff in our relationship. So it wasn't a shock, but the fact that he bought someone shoes for some reason that like totally pushed me over the edge. And I'm like, what? Like, no, you can't. You betrayed me.
They're mine?
How expensive were they?
Yeah.
But he, so that like really, I don't know, it just something clicked in my head. And I was actually here in Utah. I was going to school and I had this group of girlfriends and I never would tell, and no one knew about my relationship. I was just like, everything's fine. And I went to my school and I was like, I told my girlfriends and I was like, I can't believe he did this, like, and just vomited all this stuff. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're beautiful, you're so smart, you're talented, you're creative. Like, why are you here? And I was like, I don't know. It was just this huge light bulb. And I was like, you're right. So I was like, I'm leaving you. Like, this is ridiculous. And it was like the best thing I've ever done because he always like had his thumb on me, and
yeah, but how was it then though? I mean, it's the best thing you ever done looking back on it. But when you were in it, like, how did you have the courage to continue, especially when someone's beating you down for so long?
Oh yeah, it was definitely scary because he would always tell me, you have baggage, you have kids, no one's gonna love you, no one's gonna take care of you the way I take care of you. And I was really scared and I was like, oh my God. But then I realized I'd rather live under a bridge in a box and be married to someone like that. And I'm like, I don't care how hard it is, I don't care how hard I have to work my ass off, I am gonna do this. Mm-hmm. And I got an apartment and my girls went with me, and I'm always thinking of new business ideas and what I want to do. And how if I can invent something, create something, build a business, build a brand, and it all just like flowed together and worked out perfectly when I was in school. And I really focused it on lashes, and I started doing lashes out of my basement in my house. And
is that what you were going to school for when you were getting a divorce from him at that time?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I was working at IHC, and then I as a medical assistant, and then I was going to school part-time at Paul Mitchell, and didn't really love like the facial stuff, the facial aspect of it. I liked more like the laser side of it. And my friend talked me into doing lashes, which I thought I would hate because I'm not a patient person, and it was like very tedious, and I was just like laser focus.
Yeah, no, you're okay. Yeah. For anybody that's anywhere near Utah, best lash person possible. I literally will drive hours each way I can get my lashes done because they're that good. So anyways, back to the conversation.
So yeah, I told myself I needed to pick one thing out of all the million things that I had on my dream board to focus on, and lashes was it. And I do take pride in doing my lashes. I want to be the best, and I want my clients to be happy. And I've literally have been doing this for about 8 years, and I have clients for 8 years.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
100. Well, no, it's not crazy because you're that good at it. So I totally understand. Sometimes I'm like, okay, how much room do you have? Because if I refer you, do I still get time? And yes, she makes time for all of us. So don't worry, you can refer. It works out. But yeah. But no, you've always been, like since I've known you, like really involved in beauty, but not just beauty at the surface level. I feel like when you're with your clients, you really care about them from the internal side. You look at people and say, like, how do I bring out the best in them? Especially like with lashes, you do different shapes for different faces. And every time I leave your like booth or your table or whatever, I just feel like, oh God, I'm so glad I took care of myself.
You're so sweet.
On so many levels. But on that same front, you also like have experimented with so many things, right? Like you experiment with the different glues, you experiment with the different lashes, and whether you're in lashes or beauty or whatever, that curiosity spirit that you bring to things applies to us in all of our lives.
Yeah.
When we're building businesses or trying to make things happen. And where I think you're unique too is you're doing this thing that you love and you're focused on it. But then you're also like, okay, how can I do it better? Or how can I like make more money or do different things like that? Because money does buy us freedom.
For sure.
So share some of the other areas that I think is so cool with, you have different studios that people rent from. And how did you decide to get into that?
So Erin was probably my biggest cheerleader on venturing out on my own because I was working at a
Wait, stop. Let's back up. Let's introduce Erin.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay, no, we got sidetracked, but we'll come back to this. So Erin is your new husband.
Yes, Erin is my new,
Yep.
my Jessica 2.0 life, my new husband, yes.
Okay, and you met Erin when?
Gosh, I met him 2015, I believe.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we met on eHarmony.
Okay, fun.
Yeah. But yeah, we met, and now we have 2 kids together. Awesome. Oliver, who's 4, and Tallulah, who is 10 months.
Oh my gosh,
and
so fast.
Yeah, kids in your 40s, it's fun.
Yes, try it. I highly recommend it.
It has been great though. You're so like you want to love them as long as possible because you realize it goes so fast. So it's good.
Yeah, it's nice to have a round 2. I can imagine from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Where right now my round 1 is never ending.
I know.
I'm like, we're still losing teeth. I thought we were done with the tooth fairy. How are we still losing teeth? So, but I know someday we're gonna be like, oh, there's our last 2.
I know.
We're not gonna be tooth fairy anymore. But yeah, okay. So you met Erin. And going from a toxic relationship to a healthy relationship, how like that's hard because a lot of times we keep repeating what we had because that's what we know.
Totally.
So what work did you do to be able to step into a new, healthier relationship?
So I knew when everything that I didn't like about my ex and all the good qualities that I would expect and appreciate and want in a future husband. And when I met Erin, he was so kind and complete opposite of Brian, like totally patient, giving, sweet, like just wanted to do things for me. And I was always like, okay, what's wrong with you? Like, are you bipolar? Are you like,
you're hiding your
like
good,
something?
there's
like,
something in
yeah,
that
there's
closet.
something weird. And, but he's been amazing and great. And he's always supportive and always putting up with my crazy ideas. And I'm telling him like, let's invent this and let's do this. And he's like, that's already invented, but let's, do something
Right.
different. But like, I don't know, he's great. But he was my biggest cheerleader on opening my own space. And so I have 2 studios in Cottonwood Heights, and I have girls at Booth Rent Me that do teeth whitening, piercing, tattoos, Botox, permanent makeup. It's great. I mean, I love having the network of women and promoting them as well. So my clients come in and they see something and they're like, well, what else do you do here? And I'm like, it's a full service shop. You know? Yeah, it's great.
And it just goes to show like how important it is and how much is possible when you have support and community, right? Like, especially with it's your spouse or what, even friends that helped you get out of that bad situation. They gave you the courage.
Totally.
Your spouse gave you the courage to build the business, and now look at where it's going.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you're launching a lash line or have a lash line,
Yes.
or tell us about that.
So I started trial and error with eyelash extensions. Surprisingly, there's, I mean, thousands of different lashes, and good and bad. So I have a manufacturer in China who took me years to find the best ones that I like. Yeah, I have them made for me and labeled, and I'm opening an Amazon store, so I'm gonna start selling them there. So
And to other stylists for the most part?
yeah, so if anybody local, or I mean, you don't have to be local, but especially if it's on Amazon, but yeah, just if they see my work and they say, oh, those lashes look awesome, and they can purchase them.
Okay. So you run, right? You have this like these little offices that you run. You do your own personal business, and you have a blended family. Like how do you manage it all? Like how do you keep time for you to stay regenerative, restored, to be able to keep doing and providing for so many others?
It is very hard, especially when the kids are little. They're all like growing up now, but it's not easy to have a blended family for sure. Different styles and parenting and other people involved, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But it all, at the end of the day, it all works out, and you would just appreciate everyone. And for my things that I do for myself is on my drive home, like probably the only time I get to myself,
Right,
is listening to podcasts and meditation and just learning. I always want to learn what's out there and what's going on. So whatever I can do to educate myself, and that's kind of like my happy time. And then when I open the door to my home to chaos, and
no, it's a thing. I remember when I was working, I had about an hour drive to work, and I thought I hated it.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know I liked it until I had a 15-minute drive to work, and I was like, I'm not ready to walk into my house. I'm not ready to switch gears and wind down and be that other human that needs to be mom role. That I would be, okay, I need to figure out something in this transition so that I can just decompress.
Yeah.
And get back to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Why is it that moms have to do their free time in the car?
I know, right? I know, seriously.
Something wrong. It is. Okay, so one daughter's still at home, one's in school, and then how often do you have the stepkids?
So the stepkids, they lived in Arizona, and they would come frequently to visit, and only for mostly holidays. Sometimes like a little just, in between just to get a break, but mostly like Thanksgiving, every other Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, things like that. But then they moved to North Carolina, and it's just the travel is a little more difficult that way. So we maybe see them like once or twice a year.
Okay.
And then his older daughter, Bryn, is in Arizona, so she comes often to visit. Her and Oliver are like best friends, so it's really cute.
Oh, that is cute.
Yeah.
Is it easier with families being further apart in separate communities, do you think? Or do you think it'd be easier if everybody was in the same community?
I like that we're all spaced out.
Yeah.
Even with my family, I love how they can't just come over, I like that it takes, a 5-hour flight to come see me, but I like that aspect, especially with technology, FaceTime. We can FaceTime whenever we want. So I like the distance. It's nice. I mean, I do think I always wanted a big family, so I think it would be fun to have family dinners and stuff like that on that side, but because I like to entertain. But
Right.
as far as like everyday stuff, it's like, oh, see you,
Yeah.
see you later.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just easier if you know that you're
Yeah,
planning on everybody,
sure.
and then you can have it be the way that you want it to look versus every day
Yeah.
calendars and schedules. I mean, I have 7 kids, and so it's when we have an extra few people, you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're only 1 or 2 extra, but I still have basketball and soccer and tennis and all the different things that you're driving to just to like mentally keep in your head and go.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay, so is Aaron working outside of the home too?
He owns his own business as well. He does window film for commercial and residential properties. So we coordinate around each other's schedule. So I work 3 days a week, and then he has the
So
rest
you're
of the
both
time.
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So how does that feel? Because you don't have that stable income from somebody or those benefits or anything like that. Is that hard?
It's definitely scary. I would say my job is more stable because
You've been at it so long.
yeah, I've been at it. I have my faithful clientele, and it's like they don't care what's going on in the world. They're getting their eyelashes
Yeah.
done. With Aaron's business, a lot of clients and customers feel like they can only get window film when it's blazing hot in their house. So wintertime is usually really slow. So yeah, it's it's definitely hard. Like when you're working for someone and you're a W-2 employee, you get, paycheck every 2 weeks. And when you're self-employed, it's like, feast or famine. So it can be stressful, but I mean, you just have to manage everything right. And maybe that's why we have so many irons in the fire with other things that we want to do. So we're never struggling.
Right. Not counting on one thing for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And okay, so during your lash career that I've known you, it's been fun because even at some time you've taken some time out of lashing a little bit to cut back and got into a doctor's office for a while, mainly just to learn all of those pieces too, right? So even though you have this thriving business that's doing well, personally you had this need to seek and to understand at a different field and different level. How did you balance that transition and allow that to show up in your life?
It was exciting because I do like to learn, and I love the doctor's office feel and learning and patience and taking care of people and answering questions and learning and things like that. But it was definitely a transition, one from doing whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do, to being somewhere at 9, and then I have to stay until 5. And it was,
yeah, because that's a different deal.
Yeah. But I mean, it was great. And it all kind of happened during COVID, within those few years of COVID. So it was kind of nice where things were a little more relaxed, I guess. It was still you had to do your job, but we had a 2 months off, the office closed. So it was, and then I was the underground lash lady. So don't tell anybody. But, so doing lashes on the side still. And, but yeah, I loved it, but I was definitely ready to go when it was my time to go. Cause I liked being my own. I don't like being bossed around and told what to do.
I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs do. I'll be honest. I'd be the worst employee for anybody possible.
Totally.
Be like, oh, you want me to do that? Cute. Not happening.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
It's just something in my blood that won't allow it to be that way. But so it goes. Okay, so how have you built your presence? How are you doing marketing? How are you getting clients? How are you finding people to fill into your studios?
I would say a lot of my clientele were from word of mouth, which I think is great because that's the best advertisement.
Yeah.
You're my advertisement.
Oh, believe me, I promise.
Yeah. So I did Google advertisement for a while. And then once I was like, okay, I'm capped out. I have 80 clients. And I'm doing it all myself. I can't take any more clients. So we stopped that. And I have on my building, I have my information on the front. So a lot of drive-bys, they'll contact me. And even, it's just interesting, just people at the grocery store, they'll be like, oh my God, your lashes are so good. And they'll call me and they'll be like, okay, I saw this girl at the grocery store and she gave me your information, and my lash lady, they don't stay on and they're always falling off. And I'm like, okay. And then they come to me and they're like, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we need to replicate you at the end of the day. So I'm like so glad that you came out with this lash line, because this is what I'm hoping. Throwing it out into the universe now. That like you start doing clinics to teach other people your technique. Because the one thing that you saw for so long that now you know the best of the best, or all these ways to do it, because it wasn't like, oh, I just do this robotically. Yeah. You're always thinking like, oh, we're going to try this, or let's do this, or whatever. And so few people have that ability to allow that creativity or allow that space to explore and try that has really elevated your game. And that applies to any business, right? Whether you're doing a lash business or a hair business or a financial business or whatever, it's having that vision of here's where I want to go, but also that room to play and figure it out. And then come up with a product. Now you can train other people. And so the thing grows. Yeah.
And I do offer trainings. I'm training someone right now that I hope that can sit in my studio with me and help. So we can bounce clients off of each other, and she'll learn from me, so she'll be exactly the same.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. So if any lash wannabes are here listening, please reach out to Jess, because I'm quite confident her skills will fill up your books right away, just knowing that you're trained by her. But if you could open a studio in another location, where would you put it?
I wanted to open a studio in South Carolina or Florida, because that's where I'm from. But I love South Carolina, and call it like something that is from Utah, like Salty Lash or like Salt and Honey or something like that. That would be my dream. But there's only one of me. So I was thinking like I could go down for like a month at a time and like do lashes, and then they don't need them filled for like 3 weeks. So then I can come back here and work and then go down, Yeah.
So it would be by a beach down there? Yeah. See?
Yeah. But like, so it's funny. So I moved here from South Carolina, and we're basic. I mean, we have our fashion and stuff, but no hair, very little hair extensions, lashes, anything like that. And especially like in a beach town. So when I moved here, I was just like, what is going on? Like, why is everyone so beautiful here? And then somebody was like, oh, it's all fake. And I'm like, well, I need to tap into this. And then that's when I went to school. I learned all this stuff. So I don't know, like I would love to bring Utah to Florida or South Carolina, because I think it's amazing. Like everyone's so like up to date here.
Yes. So if you're looking for a beautiful bride, I promise you Utah is filled with them, just to let you know. But yeah. Okay, so that's the other cool thing about being an entrepreneur, right? Like you have to say, what do I want in my life? I want a second home. Here's where I want my second home. How can I bring my current business to that location and make my work for me from an emotional and like spiritual and like just physical standpoint of where you want to be. Yeah. Which I think is awesome that you even think outside the box like that, right? Yeah. And being an entrepreneur allows you to do those things and say, okay, here's where I want to go. What does it look like to get there and figure out the puzzle? I mean, but you also have real estate. Right? I mean, you guys are into everything.
I know. Yes.
How do you make a decision on, yes, I want to like invest in this, or this sounds like a good idea? Like, what's your process?
I guess just if it feels good. I'm like very spiritual, I'd say. So like, I feel like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So if it feels right, sounds right, then let's do it. And if there's any hesitation, then it's like, maybe not.
Okay. So I do this too on the mountains. It's either a hell yes or it's a no. Yeah. Right. Sure. And if I'm like, hell yes, everything feels good. This is the direction I'm going, But that slight hesitation, is going to mess it up. Totally. Right. There's something in you that's saying, So I do feel that concept works in a lot of areas. Only time I've ever been hurt mountain biking is when I have had that hesitation.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, the coach is like, if it's not a hell yes, you just got to get off and walk your bike now, or you're going to be falling. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That has totally played out.
Yeah, that's for funny. Sure.
Okay, so is there more kids in the future?
No, definitely. We're done.
You're done?
For sure, yeah. I have the two, Haley, who's 23, Allison, who's 16, and then Oliver, 4, and Tallulah, 10 months. So, I mean, I would, if I were younger, maybe. Yeah. But no, I was like, we can't handle anymore. Yeah. And then Aaron's 3 kids, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's you.
That's me. She has 7 kids too. I never put it together.
But it's not permanent. So
I'm ready for 1 or 2 to go to college. Not necessarily in the order that they were born. There's different days that I would send different ones to college for sure. But it's good. It's crazy. How is it having a teenager at home? Yeah.
It's fun, but it's exhausting at the same time. I mean, love her to pieces, but she's like, 1 minute she's like, ah, and then the next minute she's like, I hate you. So it's like, oh, can I just see your lashes and it'll make everything feel better?
Well, see, that's a nice way to connect to each other. Does she like having her lashes done?
She does. She does now. She always would fight me on it, and I'm like, let me do anything, and she's like, no, I'm like, whatever. But yeah, now she likes it.
I know. I keep hoping that she'll get into it.
I know.
I'm like, I tell my boys about it. I'm like, guys, I think people wouldn't care if you were a male doing their lashes. This is really good money. And it's a way to go. Because you think about it, I mean, it's interesting how times have changed for kids too, right? On the cost of things and what skill sets they need to bring to school and what that looks like. Yeah. I mean, school right now in Utah for my big boys is so hard that I thought like summer school was for like kids that, I don't know, my perception of what summer school was. Yeah. Now, like everybody does it. So they have less class load so they can get better grades across the board. I'm like, when did this get normalized?
I know.
Like, how is this going on? And I have a son right now who's in 8th grade who wants to take late start. So he's going to do a couple courses this summer to get the credits out of the way because he wants to day trade and he wants those time before school starts so he can be on his phone,
that's amazing.
Right? And I'm like, okay, when I was in 8th grade, I was pretty sure like, what boy's cute? And I have a pimple, so I'm not going to school. So I'm sorry.
I know. Or I wore this shirt once already. I can't wear it again.
Not doing that again.
So funny.
I know.
Times are changing. It's so much different than from when we grew up.
It is. It's funny how it goes. And it's just funny, like, I can't imagine being in both mom modes. Like, now the mom, like, you're in the mom mode of no means no, but then you're also in the mom mode of, okay, no means a 30-minute explanation so you understand it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a hard thing to flip switches on.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. And it's easy to get sucked into the littles because they need me. Yeah. And Allison's like doing her own thing but Oliver's like, hold me, hug me. And Lula, she needs everything. But yeah, it is crazy.
How did Oliver do with the new baby?
Good. He was a little hesitant at first and kind of like, I don't love Lula. I don't want Lula. And once she kind of started showing some personality and she's sassy. Like, she does not put up with anything with him. He tries to take her toy and she freaks out and like will attack him, and which he thinks is hilarious. Right. So, but now he like grabs her and hugs her and says he loves Lula. And I'm like, oh, I thought we're going to give Lula away. And he's like, no, you can't give my sister away. So he's really cute with her.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun to see.
Yeah. And Oliver made you TikTok famous.
Oh yeah. Yes. He did. He has like, I think on my TikTok, he's got 14 million views, and then Aaron's Instagram video, it's like 40 million.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so explain to the audience this TikTok because it is so funny.
Okay, so Oliver, he will go on my phone and he'll purchase things on Amazon without my knowledge. And I know, we have parents out there that are like, I can't believe you let him do that. But kids, I can't help it. I do lock my phone certain ways so he can't buy things, but he does. But he purchased this shocking toy, like it's called Russian roulette. And everyone puts their fingers in there and it's like, who's going to get shocked. He didn't realize what it did, I don't think. I think he saw it and he's like, oh, that looks fun. Whatever.
Yeah, lights up on the advertisement.
Exactly. He didn't get the full thing. Yeah, so he sticks his finger in it and he's like, Aaron just happened to have the camera out and filming it. And he puts his 2 fingers in there. He's like, if this shocks me, I'm leaving the house. And all of a sudden it shocked him. And he was like, he went through all stages of anger. He was like, what the hell just happened? And he looks at it and he's like, this is bullshit. And Aaron goes, what? And he's like, this is bullshit. And it was priceless and just it's so sweet.
Funny. And yes, and people keep stitching it, right? I mean, it made me laugh so hard. Oh my gosh, it
is so funny. Yeah, he's such a cute, and I love, when I was married with the girls, my ex-husband was very like, gotta be a model citizen and like, don't do this and don't do that. So they're very like, oh, we can't do anything. And then when with Oliver and Tallulah and me being more like, I'm just go with the flow, and Aaron is too, we just let them express their personality. Like, obviously there's punishment, like they can't be dicks, but there's, I want them to be happy and who they are and express and love life, and that's what they're doing, and it's just hilarious to watch.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, I have 7, and every one of them is entirely different. It's just, but I'm like, DJ, huh? Writing music, huh?
Yeah,
and I'm like, freaking awesome.
I love the
it.
DJ thing. That's amazing. That's one thing that I want to get into.
Of course you do.
I know.
I haven't tapped the music industry yet, so let me get into there. Okay, so interesting too, you recently lost your ex-husband.
Yes.
Like, he died unexpectedly. And how is that as a like, I mean, I know it's an ex-husband, but it still has an effect on your daughters. Like, what's that been like?
It's it's hard to explain because we did have such a toxic relationship. So I would never wish death upon anyone. I think it's horrible karma, and, but obviously I feel sorry for him because he had a lot of struggles in life, and I feel like he's at peace now. So I'm thankful for that. When it happened so suddenly, there's no like goodbye, there's no sorries or anything like that. So it's just very, very weird. And with my girls, I feel bad for them because like, I know that they realize like, oh, my dad's not here anymore, but in the future, they're going to get married and they're going to have kids and they're going to be like, I don't have a dad to walk me down the aisle, or we're not going to have a grandpa, So it's like weird in that aspect. It's just it's weird.
Yeah.
I think about it like almost every day because even though he was such a jerky person and made my life a living hell most of the time, you almost start like kind of forgetting the bad and then start remembering the good, and you're like, oh, was it that bad? Was it just me? Was I crazy? Was he really nice and I was the jerk? So
well, you do that even when you're in the relationship, let alone when it's over.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, because the unique thing about your relationship too is that you broke off and then you guys did like try it again, right?
Yeah,
which who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
When we're like, well, maybe one more rodeo. It's not that bad.
Exactly.
And then you did finally make it. And then I can't imagine what it's like to have a sore pain in your butt and then all of a sudden have it be gone.
I know, it's so weird. I mean, it saved me on legal fees because we were always like, I always had to take him to court for something. But I mean, there's some positives, but it's definitely like, it's just weird. And it happened so fast. He had a headache and he went to the hospital and then just never came out. So it's like weird.
That's so bizarre.
I know.
Yeah. And are the girls doing good?
Yeah, I know Haley, who's in Florida, she is definitely more sensitive. She's my little tender heart, so she's more upset about it. Allison's like me, and she's like a stone. So she's like, I'm fine. It is what it is. It's meant to be. Can't change it anyway, so whatever, which I know I'm like, ooh, we got to tap into that. Because I don't want her to be hardened like me. I want her to have a heart and be sensitive.
Are you softening though over the years? We're getting to that soft, squishy spot inside of you.
So funny.
It's all of us though, right? These hardcore exteriors, and then we're like the biggest teddy bears on the inside.
I know. I think we have to, like, especially women and entrepreneurs, like, you have to have that masculine energy to get shit done. And then I definitely need to tap into more of my feminine and like relax and not be like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to sometimes check it because it gets you so far and you attribute that success and all that kind of stuff from that space. And so then it's comfortable because you're like, okay, I'm successful. You can't really poke. And then you get into the feminine side and you're just like, this is a little wobbly.
I know.
This feels so much.
I know, exactly.
And so then you were raised by your dad, but you still have a pretty good relationship with your mom.
Yeah, so it took a while. My mom and dad divorced when I was young, but my mom was very like gypsy soul, like, ooh, what's over there? Oh, you're having a party? Bye, kids, and they would go over there. And then a week later, she'd come home and we'd be like, okay, like, and so it was very like, it was an interesting childhood. And eventually my dad, like, she left one time and my dad was like, okay, we're not doing this. He got full custody. I was very angry at my mom because I had to play the mom role and do laundry and take my sister to school and make my sister breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And my dad was around, but he was also a single, bachelor, so to speak. So he was like off doing his stuff. And
How old were you when all this went down?
So they like divorced when I was 10.
Oh yeah, that is young.
Yeah. So I just kind of stepped in. That's my personality. I was like, don't worry, I'll take care of everybody. And had to be tough. And it was strange to at such a young age to have to do that. And I think that's why when I met Brian, that I was like, take me away. I want to get out of here. And I feel actually really bad. I thought about this last night. I was 18. Brian was going to move away to go to Washington State to work. And I was like, ooh, I want to go with you. We eloped at the Florida courthouse. My dad was on a fishing trip in Costa Rica, and I left my 14-year-old sister by herself. And I was like, I'm moving out, bye. And like left her. And I was like, how horrible. Like,
Yeah, but you're 18. I mean, come on.
I know, and my dad shouldn't have left us alone, maybe, but I don't know. I was just like, the things you do when your parents are gone, I guess. But,
right. Or like you don't even think about, right? Because you're just in this little bubble of Planet Me.
Yeah.
Especially 18. I mean, I have a 16-year-old too that I promise you, population 1 goes on in that world. It's unbelievable. So I'm like, God, I wish I could go back to that where all I worried about was me. Because
wouldn't that be nice?
That's amazing. Yeah. I don't even remember that time, but I know that you're living it up, so I could have. But do you think the opportunity that you had to like step in and be a mom to your sister at age 10, that's probably helped you in your entrepreneurial journeys too, because you are like, hey, whatever needs to get done, I'm going to make sure it gets done.
For sure.
And just like, check yourself at the door of all the things you want to do and do what is necessary. Yeah. And then now you're at a point where you're starting to add more of the things that you want to do in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, I don't regret anything that's happened in my past because it's made me who I am today for sure. And I feel like I'm definitely like, I'm not a procrastinator. I'm motivated. I want to get, like, I have a list of things I want to get done and just checking them off day by day. And yeah, so I'm thankful for all the stuff I went through in my past.
I think all of us can look back on our journey and and even when I'm in a hard time now, I'll always be like, well, everything that's bad happened to me before has ended up good. And so I'm in it. If I'm feeling like crap, that just means I'm in it and I haven't gotten through it yet. So I'm going to get through it. I just need to keep going and see what happens. No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun, our stories. Yeah. And like where life takes us.
I know, for sure. I never thought growing up in Florida that I'd end up in Utah. I didn't even know where Utah was on the map. I was like, ew, what's Utah? But
I know my perception of Utah was the same thing. I'm like, and then I went skiing. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then I like, well, we're going to move here for 6 months and see what happens. And I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is like the United States' best kept secret. Yeah. And we're going to keep it that way. So don't move here.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
So, But no, it was one of those things. I'm like, Utah's fantastic.
And it's nice that we live in a place where people want to come and visit. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not for you because of tourists and traffic, but
yeah. Park City isn't the best part of that piece, and then we have an international airport. Yeah. Right? So we can get anywhere really fast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. So future Jess in 10 years, like what does that look like?
So right now I'm working on adding like a bunch of equipment to the studio, like red light therapy and stuff like that. So I would like to because I love biohacking and obsessed with anything that can, make you live longer. So focusing on that and maybe buying a building to have like my own space and studio, and buying real estate. I would love to have houses in like the South, mostly so I can travel too, but like Airbnb and stuff like that too. Yeah, just getting things up and running, like the lash line, get that going. My Amazon store, possible clothing line. I love wearing comfortable like lounge exercise clothes and things like that.
I'll be your model.
Do something.
I'll be the grandma model, but I'll be the model still. Anything that's exercise and comfort, I'm in it 24/7. Sounds perfect.
So yeah, just focusing on all my. I do mortgage loans also, so like I would love to grow that business and see where that takes me to. So yeah, all kinds of things.
Oh my gosh, it's just crazy. I know, because people look at me and think I do all kinds of things too, but like when you're in it, you're just like, this is how I feel full. I get to tap these different parts of my personality, and this is where it gets to be expressed. Okay, so looking back, what would you tell like someone that's 20 years old, or what would you tell your 20-year-old self based on what you know now?
Gosh, don't put up with bullshit.
Don't put up with bullshit.
Believe in yourself, trust yourself, and don't let a man boss you around.
Yes. Hear that? No bossing. Bossing comes from the inside. So super fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so fun.